I've got 150 quid and 2 days to turn this really cluttered garage into a fully operating studio. The plan's pretty simple. I think we're gonna empty everything out first. I'll come back. We'll assess what we've got space-wise, because with all these tools, I think I'm actually gonna have to set the studio to be 3/4 of this garage. And then the front half where I'm standing now is just gonna be all the tools. Obviously, we've got bits like my boy's car and we've got a Christmas tree over there. We've got all sorts of weird bits in here. Some of the stuff we might actually be able to use in the garage build itself, because we've got this foam, probably use it as acoustic foam. It's for ambi-rad stuff. But I feel like I could repurpose that and we could put like a frame around it, like a bit of batten and stuff, give it a nice edge. Uh, but I'll let you know what we have got when I've cleared it all out, and we'll go through what we can actually use, what we can't use and stuff like that. But yeah, catch you in a bit. So we're at the sort of hour mark at the minute, so I thought we'd best check in, see how we're going. Looks pretty clear, but I mean, there's so many tools here that I'm going to have to just shove it out in the front garden and hope for the best. Wife's supposed to be coming home at some point soon, so we've got to try and make sure we don't annoy her too much, if you can imagine. She's not going to be happy with the fact that there's a bunch of tools on her front garden. We've got a lot of insulation over here. So this is 100 mil fluff, which I think we can just put in the wall itself. It'll act as like an acoustic barrier. We've got a lot more of the ambi-rad stuff that I'm going to use as the sound foam, which is good. Not really sure where we're going to use this. Apparently it can keep the heat in a bit, so I'm going to put it on this side of the wall before we put the OSB on. I'm going to use OSB, I think, because that's the cheapest sheet wood I can find online. We'll have a little go through when we go through the plans and stuff in a bit. Other than that, there's loads of like sockets and bits I could use. So I was thinking I'm just going to have a socket in the center here, the logo above, and then chair, little desk, just in case, because I think the first guest I've got, we're going to be somewhat laptop heavy, looking into bits and bobs. Yeah, so I'll catch back in a bit. I don't know what I'm going to do with all these tools. I'm going to need to take this shelf down, but I kind of just want to build it again, but over here, because the wall itself is going to be here. The idea being then the garage door can still open, got the wall there, all tools this side, studio this side. So we're at the point now I cleared all this makeshift shelf off. It's really over elaborate in how I fixed it to the wall eventually. Yeah, load of uni strut, load of bits and bobs, but we'll take that apart in a minute. For now, we just want to look at, I wanted to keep this and move it over, but it's not going to work just purely because of the size of the shelving and stuff. Where this opens and closes, I don't think we can actually have any realistic shelving on that side. So what I'm going to do is have the garden tools hooking in there somewhere, and we'll take this down, and then maybe we can build it on this side, because we desperately need some form of shelving and stuff for like the screws and bits and bobs like that. So anyway, till that point, we kind of have a look at where the wall's roughly going to go. So I'm using 3x2 because it's a bit cheaper and we don't really need it for structure. It's just going to be to hold the wall up basically and put a bit of insulation in there. So we're going to go with 3x2, 11mm OSB this side, 11mm OSB this side, that bit of insulation that we found earlier. So at the minute, my shopping list is about 5 sheets of OSB, 10 lengths of 3x2. Everything else we've actually found in this garage. I've got some more scaffold boards that I've picked out of this garage as well. Got some pretty nice clean batten, which will be to frame my acoustic foam, which I'll probably put in little panels around. That'll be off camera, but should just help with the acoustics in the actual studio side. In terms of this wall though, we want to be sort of a couple of mil off this, so we've got freedom to open and close without it hitting the wall or anything like that. So we're going to go 50mm from the back end of this garage door as it's open, and then 3 inches for the 3x2, and then 22mm for the 2 bits of OSB at 11mm each. That will get us to there. Now, this main structure board, this, what we got, the joist or whatever, this is not square. So I've only got my little square. So what we're going to do is mark where we want it to be, draw the line up, and then we'll get the laser and come off that line. And then that will be our square line the whole way through, which will mark out top and bottom, and then build our structure frame from there. Just so you guys can see just how seriously I'm taking this budget. Every single screw I've took out of there, I've put in this little box so I can use it again. We are really tight on this budget. It's basically just because that's the only money I've got spare in January, as you can probably all imagine. It's real tight out there, but I desperately needed to get this studio built because the first guest is coming in. So it's just got to be one of those things. We're just going to have to do it as best we could do it with what we've got. So in terms of this, these scaffold boards, I reckon we can use them again in the studio. We can have shelves up or something, bits and bobs. Hopefully I'll get that silver plaque soon. That can go on that shelf, can't it? Other than that, this is going to take another little while just to take down. It's literally screwed through this OSB, through the insulation that's on the OSB, and then into the wall itself behind it, just to make sure it never come down. When I originally built it, obviously I was going to use that as a workbench for my chop saw and stuff, but realistically I'd have to have the bench come right out to about here to get the chop saws fit on there to swing round. And we just don't really have the space in here. So the next big build I'm going to be doing is actually the garden workshop. So that's a full build from, it's currently just dirt and stone. So that'll be the next big one that we're looking at doing, but that's probably going to be a good few more videos away. Right, walls down. So I've just set the laser up, and you can see off our little square, we've gone bang on that line, and that gives us a full square line over to there. So now what I'm going to do is just get my level out, make sure that line is level, and then we're going to mark the whole perimeter. So we're going to mark this wall, that wall, ceiling, and this floor. This floor, I don't know if you noticed already, it's just a little bit of lino that was left over from one of the building sites I was working on. So we've got to keep that down because that's going to act like a little moisture barrier between our wood and the concrete floor below. It's very cold here today, so I'm going to try and get this wall built, both sides with the wood up, and get all the tools back in this side today. That's got to be the goal today. Then we'll sort all the bits inside the actual studio tomorrow because we've got some gym flooring left over. We've got a little bit of carpet down there. We've got some more of this lino out there. So we've got plenty of options to start figuring out what we're going to do aesthetically in that studio. So we're now all marked out. The only bit we've got left is obviously to measure and cut these bits of 3x2. I just topped out. I managed to get the 10 bits of 3x2 and the 5 sheets of OSB for 144 quid. So we're 6 quid up, but we'll probably end up using that on some other little bits or something for the studio, depending on what we can get a hold of. I want to check out Facebook Marketplace for a little desk or something like that, and then that should get us covered on there. So in terms of this first bit, we're going to go one length at 2 meters, 2 meters 60. That's our first length to cut. And then this bit up here, nice little trick for you if you're not sure. You're like, my arms can't reach the other side, so I'm just going to measure to 1 meter. And then from that end, I'll measure, and that's 124. So 224. And then that gets us where we need to be. 40. But while we're here, we'll do the center as well. So we'll do another measurement to 1 meter. And then from that, go between those two, and then that gives us our direct center. So 2, 2, 3, 5. So 1, 1. Sweet. And that's our center going forward. So what we want eventually is to have it so the main full sheet of OSB is going to be here. So then you'll have the joint lines, this side and this side, at around 500 or so each side. And then the actual Broken Stag logo could be bang straight in the center. If we measured off of here, the 1200, which is the thickness of the OSB, would be just off center. So on the camera, you'd have like a joint line, which would be just off center, which would just end up, yeah, it just annoy me forever if I just kept seeing that in the background of every video, just a joint line, not square to the logo and everything like that. So that's just a little bit my OCD coming out, but it'll make sense when you see it. So you have a full sheet of OSB here, offcut here, offcut here. Exciting stuff. Cut the first length, which is going to be our main structure bit over here. Obviously behind this is also brick wall. So we're going to kind of drill through this, through that, through the insulation into the wall. That'll give us a nice bit of structure on this. The floor one is concrete. So again, we're going to go straight through into the concrete, fix into that. The ceiling one, however, this is just OSB and then insulation above this. So it's not going to be as structurally sound as the other three walls, but realistically, we don't need it to be because we've got that extra structure on these three. If we only had the ceiling and the floor, what we'd have to do is take this OSB down and then put some noggins in between the joists and then fix into those. But when it comes to fixing this up, we're going to pilot some little holes through this bit of wood first. That basically just gives us zero chance of this wood splitting. It's good practice, basically. Just stick a little hole straight through wherever you're thinking you're going to hit the SDS through. Pilot first, then screw through your pilot hole. All right, now we've got it piloted. We'll just fix a couple of screws in just to hold it in place while we put the SDS through. Because like I say, it's quite a bit of a gap behind this OSB. So we're just going to stick, I suppose any old screw would do really, just to hold it in place. All right, so as you can see, we've got this first bit up now. That's screwed right through into the wall behind it, so it's nice and structurally sound. That's our little bit. That one's that out. So now we're ready for this top bit because obviously we've still got to empty that whole side. We've got the shelves up there to take down. So my goal was basically get this side up, then we can see what space we're actually left with, and I can start loading these shelves onto here, knowing that I'm not going to move it like 2 or 3 times, basically. I'm hoping we've got enough space to get the height on these because these shelves go right up to here. So in terms of that, yeah, we'll have to see how we go. But that's a problem for another minute. For now, we'll just get this next bit cut. So we already measured that out, wrote it up there. So I'll get that cut and then we'll come back, see where we go. All right, so as you can see, I cut my next bit, and this is where having this little gap really pays off for us. So it's already piloted, already ready to go. The idea is that we hook this in place on top of there. It basically holds it in place for us, and then all we've got to do is level it up. So obviously on that side, I've got this shelving holding it up. That side, I've got this holding it up. So I'm basically hands-free. I can get it all nice and level, stick a screw through, and know that it's not going to fall on my head, which is, you know, definitely worth it. So we'll start from this side because we know this is square. Get it in nice and tight. Screw in. Now work our way along because this wood, although it was treated, it was left outside, so it has bowed slightly. So we're just gonna make sure with every screw it's still on that laser. Otherwise, our wall won't be straight and it will look all wonky, which no one's gonna like that. it's really kicking off over there. So we're about 10 mil out over on that side. So we're still going to have to give it a little gentle persuasion to get it to where we want it to be, but should be all right. So we're at 3 mil off the line now. So where we've piloted straight, what I'm actually going to do is drill it at an angle, the angle that I want it to bend. So in this instance, I want this bit of wood to go more towards the garage door in the van. So I'm going to pivot my drill, and then the actual screw in is going to pull it to where I want it to be. It weren't too bad, but it's right on that end that we're a bit buggered. So we're going to take these shelves down now, see what we can get in over here. If I have to, I'll have to cut the tops off these shelves or something to get them in. But at least I know now what space we've actually got left. I'll move the insulation and bits and bobs to this side. And then when we come to build the structure and stuff, we can pass stuff through if we need to. Oh, as you can see, we've got most of the shelves down, but the wife is back now. So we shall see how that goes. The whole garden is basically full of shit. So hopefully I'll survive. Speak to you soon. As you can see, we've got this shelving unit down now and started to move it over to there. I'm not going to fully fix it and everything yet, just because we're still going to need to get to it for this wall bit here. So our next bit is going to be this part of the wall and then the actual floor bit itself. So I'm going to just go cut them now and we'll go from. Right, so we have got our bottom bit in, side bit. So we've got our full parameter up now. The next part is actually putting the retaining studs in. So we're going to go 3 studs, 1 in the center, and then each end coming out 600 from center, and that'll fix our full sheet up. And then all we've got to do is do the infills. So I've already cut this one down. But you can see where I've got the laser at the bottom that also matches the top. This I've cut ever so slightly too big, by like 2 mil or so, just so I can basically hit it in and it will hold it in place while I screw it back. Screw gun ready, screws ready, get a little persuader, and then I've set the laser up so the camera can see it, but it makes it more difficult for me to see it. Great idea. Lovely job. All right. So my laser's moved, but luckily I marked the floor. There we go. So now just hit it square. Perfect. Right, now we can bang some screws in there. Constantly dropping screws out of this. This screwdriver bit's like one of the oldest bits of tools I actually own. Everything else broke. Just now, my last Hilti battery just died as well, which is always fun. But luckily, we've got all the SDS bits and stuff in, so we're looking pretty good on that front. Obviously, we've got to put some noggins in and some bits and bobs like that as we go forward, but let's get these straight bits in first and work our way out. So I'm going 2 screws at the top, 2 screws at the bottom on each one. And obviously we're going to put noggins in halfway. I'll stop it from bowing. And then the OSB on both sides. Gonna leave this side open because I found while I was cleaning out a couple of lights. So I've got some black lights that I'm going to put up. I think we're going to put the lights quite high on each side and have shelves below them. So on here again, same thing again. Get it roughly where I want it at the bottom. Bring it in at the top. It's going to pinch. And then we'll use our little persuader to bring around to the center. Now, probably right in assuming there's probably better ways of doing this, but I'm an electrician by trade. I'm just too tight to pay for anyone to do it properly. So this is where we stand. Again, on that line, Now I've marked the floors on these as well, because obviously when the wood goes up, we won't know where this beam is. So if we mark the floor, and I've got a little mark at the top here as well, that lets us know where we're going to actually screw to make sure we hit this wood every time. Do it a bit deeper. Obviously the OSB is 11mm, so we need to make sure we come out more than 11mm with our markers. Same thing again, it'll be another 2 screws at the top, 2 screws at the bottom. All right, last one will go up. Same thing again, try and get slightly center at the bottom. And then persuade her over and hold her back. There we are. Green line nice and center. Can't remember if I said this already, but I've lost so many hammers that I've now just gone to buying whatever ones are on sale in whatever wholesaler I go to. Just ends up being cheaper that way. Right. Another couple of screws in, and then we've got to try and cut this OSB. So you can kind of see what I'm talking about now. So our full sheet of OSB is going to be here. And then we've got the cuts here and here. If we started with the full sheet this side, we'd end up with the full sheet coming to around here, and then a join, and then that bit over there. So doing it this way, we do have to do a little bit more work, but it will just look way more uniformed. But I'll show you when it's all up anyway. We've got to rip down this OSB now. I haven't got a plunge saw, so I basically just clamp this to the bit of wood and then run my skill saw along that as a straight edge. Kind of gives the same thing, but it's a lot cheaper than buying a plunge saw. The actual OSB now, I'm going to rip it all down at once. So we're going to go 4 lengths at 525, which will be that, this side and this side. And then obviously the 2 lengths we will have to cut down apart from top, because we're only at about 2 meters high in here. So I just need to cut 400 mil off of each board. I'll apologise now, because I imagine if some of you are American, you're going to want me to use old money, but it's just so much easier with millimeters. I know, some people are going to argue with me, but it's just so much easier. So I was just cleaning out, getting ready to rip down this OSB. These are all the offcuts we've got from all these sheets, all these lengths of timber that we cut down. So these will be our noggins. But what we're going to do, instead of putting the noggins at 1200 high, which is what you'd normally do because that's the width of a board, we're going to split it because I want shelves up here somewhere. So what we'll do is we'll figure out where I'm going to roughly put the shelves, and then we'll put the noggins going across there, and that will just give us a nicer fixing when we do come to put the shelves up. Planning ahead, it's always worth it. So this is basically going to be my shelf height here, where this green is. There's 2 lines because that mirror behind us is giving us a ghost line basically, but that's where we're going to be aiming for. So I'll put a noggin across all of that, and I'll do the same distance at the bottom. It'll still give it some structural support, but this way we know we've got some fixings for whatever shelving we do come up with, because I've got all this scaffold towers and all that sort of scaffold boards and bits like that left over, so we can kind of use them scaffold boards as shelves that we can have up above. Who knows, this time next year we might be able to get a silver plaque right up there somewhere. Gotta dream big. Our first bit's ripped. It's getting real dark out there now, but our first bit's ripped. We've not screwed it back yet. I'm going to use them screws that I nicked out the shelving earlier. So we're going to get this bit up. I'm going to get this bit up, and then we're going to feed all the other bits of OSB through here, and then we'll screw this up after. So in that side, we'll have the OSB ready, but we just won't screw it back just yet. Then we can start filling up this side with all the tools and stuff, try and get it a bit more organised. But yeah, we'll see how we get on. I think all the noisy work's done, so hopefully neighbours won't be too annoyed. It'll just be me clumbering about. So these are pretty important. These are what I'm just using as retention brackets for this shelf, because the shelf's going to have quite a bit of weight on it. So all I'm going to do is basically screw this to the wall around each leg like that. That just stops it from tipping over if it gets too heavy and stuff, which obviously with all these tools on it, could get. As you can see, I've got that last bit up. That was a nightmare folding it in here just because the space is so tight. But we've got it in, got one screw up, nice tight gap down there. So we'll just put a few more screws in, hold it back, and then we'll start filling her up. It's not a bad day really, just gonna screw this one, screw the next one, and then yeah, I'll start moving stuff in one by one and go from there, I suppose. Lovely. All right, she's all nice and tight. So on to the next bit, rip that next bit up. We need. Right, so the last bit's up. All we've got to do now is fill it up with tools. I'll do another video again in a second, just when everything's filled up, because I feel like you don't just want to watch me load the garage up. Right, as you can see, it's pitch black at night, so it's 5:10. So pitch black, but we managed to get it all sorted. We've literally managed to take all that rubbish that was in that garage and condense it down to just a quarter of the garage. So now we've got loads of room on the other side to start the studio tomorrow morning. Not a bad day, really. Feel like we've got a lot done, loads more to do tomorrow, but I think we're well within budget. I don't think we're going to have to buy any more wood, which is good. There's a couple of tight cuts, I don't know if you can see in that corner there. That wall's not straight at all, so I had to sort of jiggly line cut that. But tomorrow we're going to be doing all the cutting in the back garden, so I'll be able to set the recorder up and we can actually get some shots of like how I measure, how I cut without a plunge saw and stuff. So, but yeah, nice, good day all round, guys.